that lovely introduction. So as Sean said, my name is Isabel Tilley, and today I'm going to be talking to you about my experience as a bursary recipient, the impact that bursaries have had on my life, as well as the role of schools and bursaries in society more widely. So first, I'll give you a bit of background about myself. No one in my family went to university, and my parents both left school at 16 to go out and get jobs to support themselves. University was not something that was even on their radar. My parents then divorced when I was 6, and my dad stopped working, which left my mum as a single parent of 3 children. And despite her working full-time, money was a constant struggle. At primary school, I was one of the hundreds of thousands of children in the UK that received free school meals. And my family relied on benefits and on the generosity of charities to keep us afloat, even receiving food parcels from the Salvation Army when things got particularly tough. Gone the right way. However, ever since I was little, I've wanted to get a good education. I've always loved learning, particularly about languages and other cultures, an interest that really took hold when I was around 10. I wanted to get the best education possible, so I could go on to get a good job, earn some money, and not have to worry about my financial situation, as I had seen my mum do. I attended Christ Hospital for the first 3 years of my secondary school education, and Reigate Grammar for the last 4, being awarded full bursaries at both of these schools. I really cannot emphasize enough how crucial these bursaries were to me. There is no way that my family could have afforded to pay even a fraction of the school fees. And if my financial situation had not been taken into account, there is no way I would have been able to attend either of these schools. The education I had really allowed me to develop, both academically and personally. I had some wonderful teachers who recognised my passion and my potential for languages, and who really encouraged me to stretch myself, to go beyond what we were doing in class, and to aim for the best results possible. As well as the obvious things that come with a high-quality education, such as excellent teaching, small class sizes, and good on-site facilities, the key thing for me was that it really allowed me to build my confidence. Confidence was something that I'd always struggled with as a child, but the support and encouragement that I received at Christ Hospital, and particularly at Reigate Grammar, really allowed me to believe both in myself and in my abilities. Alongside my education, I was lucky enough to have access to some amazing opportunities. For example, in my last year at Reigate Grammar, I was able to take part in a history and politics trip to the US, doing everything from visiting the White House, as you can see, having a guided tour of the Capitol building and of Arlington Cemetery, and visiting New York and the Empire State Building. Having studied history at GCSE, US history at GCSE, this was a really special experience for me, and again was one that was only available to me due to my bursary, as the school offered me significant financial support so that I could take part in this trip. My teachers at Reigate also helped me with the frankly terrifying process of applying to Cambridge, the university I had wanted to attend for years, and one that I hoped would put me on the path to a successful future. I was offered mock interviews, preparatory reading, extra lessons, and so many tips and pieces of advice that were invaluable to me, that this was something that no one in my family could shed any light on. Thankfully, it paid off, and I was offered a place to study at Cambridge, where after 4 intense but very rewarding years, I graduated last summer with a double first in modern and medieval languages, specialising in French and Italian. And this is me looking very smart on my graduation day. And I remember at this point feeling like I really had fulfilled my academic potential, and I'd reached a point that I'd wanted to reach for so long. I'm now working as a translator in Italy, and found out a couple of days ago that I've been accepted onto the civil service fast stream, which will be starting in September. And I hope to go on ultimately to work in the field of human rights and the charity sector, as I'm really committed to making the world a better and a fairer place. So now I want to move away from talking about my own experience a bit, to talk about schools and how they can be agents of social change. By offering bursaries to students from disadvantaged backgrounds, schools are able to affect social change by allowing social mobility to happen and by levelling the playing field so that children from both poorer and from wealthier backgrounds have access to the same standard of education. Of course, schools cannot be expected to resolve this issue alone, but they have an important role to play in making sure that these opportunities are available to people from a diverse range of backgrounds. In my opinion, bursaries do the right thing. They look at the person, the individual, their merit and their potential, and offer them a high-quality education based on this, and not based on whether or not their family has the money to pay for it. I cannot imagine how crushed I would have been if I had been told at the age of 11 that the education that I had dreamt of was not available to me, not because I wasn't bright enough or hard-working enough, but because my family did not have the money to pay for it. And the final point I want to talk about today is about giving back to society. Benefiting from an outstanding education such as my own comes with responsibility. I and many others have been so lucky to have had the education and the opportunities that we have had, and it is only right that we contribute something back to society to continue this cycle of advantage. As Philip Britton said earlier, the golden ticket of education should not only benefit the child that has the education, but should go on to create benefits for the society in general. So some ways I've been doing this have been that last year I took part in Reigate Grammar's annual telephone campaign, which involved calling ex-pupils and parents of current pupils, asking for donations towards our 1675 Changing Lives Bursary Fund. I felt so proud to be able to use my story to help raise money so that bright children from poorer backgrounds can have access to the same education and the same opportunities that I did. Then, as Sean mentioned, I went on to spend the rest of the summer volunteering at Elionas refugee camp in Greece, doing everything from setting up and then teaching English lessons, to doing arts and crafts activities with children, to managing an initiative which helped refugees apply to university in Athens, which was sponsored by the US Embassy. I wanted to help these people who had experienced so much loss and so much suffering, and give my time and my skills to help make their lives better. I hope that one day I will be in a position where I am able to sponsor a child through school, so that they can benefit from the same quality of education, the same support and the same opportunities that I had. The education I received was an incredible gift, and I want to share the benefits I reaped by making sure that the same opportunities are available to others from my background. We are all part of a local and a global community, and as such, we all have a role to play in helping others and in helping to change society so that it becomes more egalitarian, and so the gap between rich and poor, advantaged and disadvantaged decreases. Over a quarter of all children living in the UK today is living in poverty. Through education, we can help to change that. Thank you very much.